I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
Welcome to the Lucky Ones podcast. I am your host, Lucky Wood, and tonight we are joined by a incredible, awesome, wonderful, powerful powerhouse making a crazy awesome name for herself, Miss Jolene Clark. Yay! And she's making me feel bad because she's hanging out in her gym and where like I'm just like, man, I need to be at the gym right now. Like I feel like I need to go back to mine real quick. I should go pick up a dumbbell and just like curl the whole time we do the interview. So, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Today was a recovery day because we had a practice last night.
Oh, nice. So, tell us about your practices. Who do you practice with? Shout out your team, all that jazz.
Okay, so me and my husband are known for traveling around the state of
Okay.
Minnesota, obviously.
Right.
Um, we practice in Blaine with the Blaine boys, Josh Hanlon, Ryan Holberg, Jeff Ringer,
Okay.
Scott Scott, all them guys. And then we like to go to Rochester, Minnesota. That's where we were yesterday. And that's with Sasha. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try.
That's fine.
Uh, Tony Curry, who else is over there? Jack Eichen, John Grant, a lot of people that have been in the sport for way longer than we have.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I actually looked it up and I was about 2.5 hours away from you when I lived in St. Cloud. So
Yep,
yeah.
we used to practice in St. Cloud too. There's a group up there in Big Lake
Okay,
that
yeah.
we go to that one occasionally, but because it's a 2 hour drive for us, we're like, do we want to go this time?
For sure, for
But
sure.
that's Dylan Leeson and his
Oh,
wife host.
okay. Does she pull?
He does not pull, no.
Okay. I didn't know if you had certain teams that you went to because there are other ladies there, or do you mostly just practice with guys and stuff?
I mostly practice with guys. Um, it makes me stronger for the ladies. Lexi
100%.
Deerfield, you've had her on your podcast
Yeah.
before. She has been at a couple Blaine practices. I tried to get her to the one last night.
Okay.
Um, and then there are two new gals that have been coming to practice with their boyfriends. So that's been nice. Like they've showed interest in the sport.
Very cool.
And their boyfriend was like, "Oh, there's a girl that comes. You should pull with her." And so I got them into the sport now. And
Yay.
Alana or Elena, I don't know how to pronounce her name either. It's spelled funky,
Right.
but she's been progressing quite well.
That's
And
awesome.
then the other gal, her name's Kayla. She's also progressing quite well. It's
That's
just like,
phenomenal.
I remember when I was you.
For sure. Well, I think that's also like well, so on behalf of the other females in arm wrestling, thank you for being an awesome ambassador and pushing more ladies into it. That's great. And so I think anytime people talk about, like they're working with somebody new or whatnot, it just, just shows that like that's exciting for the rest of us to hear because, we always want that competition and always want like that camaraderie and more people to be interested in it. So that's awesome that you
Oh,
did that. Great
absolutely. Yeah, even some of the guys that girlfriends like come with the tournaments and stuff. I'm like, are you gonna pull? You should.
job. Oh,
Give me somebody else to pull with.
that was me all day today. Go sign up. It's free. Go sign up. It's free. Like go away. Leave us alone. We're not pulling. So,
Well,
but
they they like get intimidated because they're like, God, you look so big and strong. I don't think I could beat you. I'm like, I won't beat you that easily.
right? Maybe work for it. Maybe work for it.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, tell us what got you into the sport.
All right. I made a little like spreadsheet of notes so I don't forget things.
I love it.
So me and my husband, well, my husband was interested in it first. Got really big into watching, of all people, Devin Larratt. Um, yep. So Devin Larratt, watching him, got him to Michael Todd, watching Michael Todd continuously and watching their live streams got us to get ourselves to one of the Monster Factories. So we went to Monster Factory 3. So that kind of connected us with a lot more of the higher up arm wrestlers.
Right.
Um, so after we did that, we're like, dude, we really want to be pulling with people, but we don't know who to talk to. At the time, the Minnesota Arm Wrestling page was inactive. So even though we sent messages there, they weren't replied to.
Right.
But now if you do it, they'll reply to them because they've reactivated it. Um, so we're like, Mike, who's the best arm wrestler in Minnesota? Or who do we need to talk to? And he gave us the name of Andrew Biganansky. I
Okay.
think that's how you say his last name. So my husband, Alex, he reached out to him and he was like, oh, I don't really pull that much anymore, but you can reach out to Josh Handlin and he'll give you names of who to practice with and that sort of thing. So then our first practice would have been like January of, God, what year was that? 2023. That's how long it's been already. So that Josh had us come to Ryan Hoberg's house, and that was our first practice ever. And we've pretty much been hooked on it since.
I love it. So that is actually that's only like 10 months prior to when I started because I started November 2023. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's cool. Roughly in the same area of starting.
Yes, like an addiction. You just can't get enough of it.
No. Oh yeah, it's addicting for sure.
Very much so.
Well, what's your favorite part about this addicting sport?
Um, the family, the arm wrestling community is just a giant family.
For sure.
Um, anytime, you know, God forbid an injury happens, people are like, ah, you'll get through it, you'll get better, you'll come back stronger. Um, and the way everyone always wants to help each other, going along with like the female arm wrestling aspect. When I pulled the time bomb tournament last year, there was a chick that, you know, she was strong, but she kind of kept stopping herself with the elbow on the table with the peg
Yeah.
hand. I was like, hey, if you lift this up and let your body fall to the side, you'll do much better. And she's like, why are you helping me? I'm your opponent. I'm like, because I want to help you get better.
Right. Yeah, we a lot of people t like joke about that of just like arm wrestling's the only sport where like after you finish like you go to the person you pulled and like, "Hey, this is how you beat me next time."
Yeah.
Or, "Hey, I need you to work on that," or "I need you to work on this." And that was my experience kind of at the round robin last year in May. Was like
Yep.
after everything was said and done, like yeah, everybody wanted to, tear my arm off and everybody was there for, that, in the moment. And it was just like, okay. And then like afterwards it was like, hey, work on this, or hey, do this, or hey, this is how I do this, and blah 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 blah, and you'll get better and you'll do great and blah blah, and it's just like, oh, okay,
It's,
cool.
it's that
Yeah,
constructive
that
criticism, critique,
Hmm.
wanting to tell you that you did good. So, you just have to keep growing because we need you back,
yep.
so I think that's what helps.
That's something that I've kind of found too is everyone is always willing to help out. Like, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is what you need to do.
Right.
And it helps a lot actually.
Hmm.
I agree.
Definitely. Definitely. So when you are not arm wrestling, what are you up to?
Well, like we were talking about previously, I have 4 kids. So I'll usually find something to do with them. We actually just got our Wii back out of storage. So we've been playing Mario Party with them, and we got Mario Party Jamboree for the Switch. We've been playing that with them. And then our youngest boy is really into Minecraft right now. So we'll just like he goes off into his own little land and pretends to play and pretends to be iron gauntlets and giants and pretends to fight with us, and we'll do that. I also play piano.
I didn't
I,
know that.
yep, I started playing piano when I was probably 4.
Oh
I
wow.
took lessons for 13 years. So like pretty close to when I was done with high school, I stopped. And then I just kind of play now and then when I want to, or if there's a piano around. And it's funny because like we'll go places and then you know how some places have like grand pianos in their lobby. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like really camera shy and nervous, so I don't know if I really want to play it. Um, but yeah, we play video games. Um, I like to stream video games sometimes. I do Fortnite and Apex and Let It Die, which is a game that's only on PlayStation, and I play Elden Ring.
So you're a
And
gaming nerd. Um,
I am.
what's
And
what's
then
your gamer
obviously,
tag?
um, J_Clark 10.
You don't have a nerdy one?
No, I don't have a nerdy one. Nothing like
Mm-mm.
that. It's not like my email that I made in high school that's like hot volleyball chick. I used to play volleyball.
I love that. I love
um,
it.
Um,
the
and
one
then
I made in
obviously I
junior high was Little Drummer Girl, and it was spelled LYD to go with lids. So it's
oh
little.
nice.
And so like yeah, that was my like junior high, like, I'm never getting rid of this email. I'm so clever.
Yeah, and then you get older and you're like, I was such an idiot.
What's up,
Yeah, I was in
Susie?
marching band and stuff.
Hey,
So
you guys talking about emails?
yes,
No, we
We're
don't want
talking
to hear
about
it, Stephanie. Nope.
My
Nope.
uh
email's pretty embarrassing too. I always tell everybody that a gay guy helped me with
What did you play in marching band, Jolie?
I played the flute, but I did color guard for the first 2 years.
Oh, very cool. Were you in
So I got
Minnesota
spin the
marching band?
flags and the sabers. What was that?
Did you were you in Minnesota when you did marching band?
Yep,
I bet we competed against each other because we're the same age.
maybe.
I did Sock Rapids Rice, Storm marching bands. Growing up, we competed with it was Rochester,
Oh, the
Park
lords.
Rapids, uh Sartell, all up there.
I can't. Wasika like falls between AA and AAA for competitions because we vary with how much interest we get in sports.
Gotcha.
So I couldn't tell you if you competed against us or not, but I know about all the competitions that we would go to and the parades and the Sioux Fall Festival of Bands and all that stuff.
We never did Sioux Falls. I always wanted to, but we never did. So
I knocked one of my colleagues out of the competition for Sioux Falls because I nailed her in the face with a flag when we were practicing. So I was like, oh my God.
that's awesome. No, I tripped my one of the bass players during drumline one year. That was fun.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah,
You're learning the field
she
work.
was our section leader and she was not happy.
You guys are doing
And
so
then I was
good.
happy at the next practice.
Like, okay, you and me, we're gonna have a talk. Don't you ever do that again.
For real. Yeah, it involved a lot of push-ups and a lot of laps.
Oh, yes. Yep.
But you do it because you love it, just like arm wrestling.
Yep. I think that's kind of why arm wrestling is so heartfelt to me or like close to the heart because I grew up with sports and competition and having your teammates as your friends. And that's what arm wrestling is all of your teammates are your friends and you can be buddy buddy, and then you're like, oh, I have to pull against you. Why?
No, I agree for sure. So then, when you are getting ready to arm wrestle, like obviously you're at a gym, which is awesome. What is that? What does training like for arm wrestling look like for you? And have you incorporated some of the stuff you learned from like your previous sports into it at all, or has it become kind of its own entity?
It's kind of our own entity. We I've kind of been working on hooking a lot just because with top roll I had an incident with my left arm, so I kind of been trying to focus on hooking, but we do pronation lifts mainly because we like to top roll, but we do work on everything. We have the wrist wrenches and the multi spinner and the little flat hand containment handle. We just got that one, so we've been working that one a lot. Um, and then we have the pronation strap with a loading pin, so you can do the Devon lift. That's always fun to do, just to show off and see how much we've progressed over time. And we recently started tracking our PRs for that. So just like my husband can hit one. I'm like, I know I can't hit it, but I'm gonna try.
Nice.
He makes it move so easily, and then I'll go to do it, and I'm like, this isn't happening.
That's how you grow. That's how you get better. And then when it does happen, it's just like, yeah, I knew I could do it.
Yeah, yep. Um, actually, working out or starting to work out with him every day got me kind of into the powerlifting whole side of things. And last year, I impulsively signed up for a powerlifting meet. It was only a push pull competition, but it was really fun. But when I got closer, I was like, I'm so nervous. I'm gonna fuck up. I'm not gonna do well. I'm brand new to the sport. It's my first thing. And the Wisconsin ladies, Danielle Evanson and Shauna and Brittany. Well, Danielle's been doing it the longest, but I kind of started talking to her and I was like, how do you get the nervousness out of your system? What is this? And she's like, oh, you'll be fine. Don't focus on PRs or anything. Just do it for fun. I'm like, I am doing it for fun, but I'm also very nervous. And I ended up actually taking third place in that. So that was more fun than I expected it to be.
How many ladies were there?
Let's see. There was 100 ladies that signed up and 82 that competed total.
How many were in your class?
That's awesome.
In my class, let's see, like 7 or 8.
Good. That's good.
That's a hell of a good turnout.
Yes. So if you look up Raise the Bar Initiative, they're based in Des Moines, Iowa. But it just came across my Facebook because, their ad targeting stuff that they do. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Click. And then it was like, if you sign up, you got to pay the fee today and it's non-refundable. And I was like, oh, what the hell? I have the money to do it at this point in time, so I'm going to do it. And then I did, and I was like, what did I do?
What did you get on your attempts?
So I did bench. So it was bench and deadlift. So for bench, I did 135. My first attempt failed just because I dropped the freaking bar on myself. And I was like, oh, that was not fun. So then, of course, I'm already nervous and I can't push it back up. So then my second attempt was also 135 and I was able to get it that time. So that was a successful lift. And I should have only bumped it up to 5 pounds, but I bumped it up to 145 and I got it down and then like an inch back up. And I was like, I can't complete this. And so they helped with that. And then for deadlifting, before I went into competition, I was working to hit 245, like consistently and hard. And I got it twice, like 2 weeks before the competition. I was like, all right, I don't know if I want that to be my opening lift yet. So I opened with 225 and cleared it. And then I went to 245 and cleared that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try 285 and we're just going to make the jump. And I did that. And technically I could have cleared it, but I hitched it on my thighs, so that didn't count as a successful lift, but I lifted it, so I counted it successful to myself. So
100%.
285 is my new PR for that.
That's
That was
all.
a lot of fun.
They say
Nice.
that usually you'll get a 15-pound PR the day of the meet. They say.
Yeah. Yeah, I added 40 pounds to my PR. So like,
Yeah.
I had to pick up for the bench that I missed. So
yeah. And now I want to do that competition again this year. They're doing one in March in Des Moines, but I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do it when they come back to Minnesota. And
Okay.
so because I failed miserably with bench, I've been working on my benching a lot, and my new bench PR is 185, but I have to kind of get more consistent with the pause repping it, because I can bring it down about 3/4 of the way and get it back up, but I
Right.
can't get it flat to my chest yet. So I'm like, I'm just gonna use the chest block because they offer that.
Nice.
And this is the medal I got.
Oh, cool.
awesome medal. It's pretty cool.
I love
It's so
that.
nice.
Oh, that's so cool. And I just commend you. Like, that's so cool. Like, you just signed up and you went for it. Like, oh, we got Miss Jocelyn Brisson in the house. She said, "What is your bench?"
Hello.
Hello.
What was that?
All hail the Queen of Canada.
She wants to know what your bench goal is.
My body weight at some point. So that'd be like 225. And I think if I
Nice.
hit that, well, I weigh 215. And if I hit 225, I'd be like, okay, that's like where I would probably stop going for heavy lifting and just kind of be like, all right, I got this. I'm good with that now.
Getcha.
Very cool. Well,
You can
Jocelyn
get
definitely wanted to talk to about that for sure. She's
You'll
the,
have that
Oh,
this
yeah.
year easily.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're already you're already too close in my opinion. Like that can be achieved probably sooner than you think. But yeah, I think you can get that.
Yeah, we just a couple of days ago we did bench and I got the 185 and I repped it, I think 3 times. And I was like, oh man. I was like, God, do I bump up to 200? Because I tried 200 a couple weeks ago and like I can stabilize the bar, but as soon as I moved it down, my left arm was just like, this isn't happening. And then my husband just grabs it with one hand, is like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Jocelyn says 225 is in reach for sure. See? Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
But yeah, but I mean, that just shows, we women can do very impressive things when we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed. That's really cool that you put your like just saw something, decided to try it, and then not only did you try, but you were, obviously very successful at it. So good job. What's up,
I would like to
Jody?
think I was
Chocolate
successful.
Thunder? Oh, for sure. I think so. I'm impressed. I couldn't do it. Success in my book.
Yeah, a lot of people, well, like even after I broke my arm, people are like, you still want to pull? And I'm like, yes.
Did you break your arm
But
pulling?
I did break my arm pulling.
Oh.
Okay.
Was it
was
in
bad.
practice or a competition?
Nope, it was at Minnesota State in 2023 when Joe Drellick was hosting him. The gal, her name's JC Frank, and she's awesome. She's also like 6'3", so she's very tall, and I'm like 5'4", 5'5", and I'm like, this is intimidating. And it was like only my third competition ever, and I got up there, and I think she was my second match left-handed, and we were really like pretty much burning each other out. And I went for that little bit of a top roll to go out of my arm just that tiny bit, and she pressed me at the same time, and my arm just.
Was it your left or your
And
right?
then of course everybody's like, my left. This is my left.
Hey, we got you. I'm matching. Left one too. Yeah, yours. Yeah, nice. Hmm. Now, so when you're benching, do you get any of that like tension release pain? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like usually when we're locked
Yep.
in, the minute we let go, there's just that tension pain.
I don't get that from benching. I do get it when I'm doing my arm wrestling stuff, which is weird.
So I'm still getting it, but I don't get it with a few. Like it's getting better because I thought it was never going to get better, and it aches a little bit when I'm doing chest flies as like I come back up. But when I'm pulling Chad, he's the only one that I don't ever get it, and he tells me it's because, if I'm not mistaken, it's more like he is only taking what I give. So whenever you get that in that person that you're pulling and you're not really feeling that discomfort, find out what they're doing and then kind of teach it with your next person because he's pulled my arm so much and he's helped me. It's lesson and lesson, and I've learned how to not have that much pain too, and anchoring the elbow down more into the pad has helped as well. And I've just noticed that I'm getting less and less tension pain when we release, because like, oh, my biggest fear is like when Stephanie and I were pulling at WSA, I didn't want to let go for nothing because I knew the minute we slipped it was going to hurt so freaking bad. But
Did it hurt?
Yeah.
and then the adrenaline kicks in, you're like, okay, but I'm okay. But yeah, it's finally starting to go away, and I'm 2 years after it. So
Yeah. I just had a match like that with Shauna Wagner. God. Yeah, and we pulled at Coraline's, and I got her. It was left-handed match, and I pulled Danielle first, and she flashed me, obviously. And then I got against Shauna, and I actually stopped her, which completely shocked me. And then we got into one of these like weird top roll against hand things, and I was just holding her. I was like, I want to slip, but I don't want to compromise my elbow. So I sat there for like probably a good minute and a half. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm not finishing you and I don't want to slip. So I kind of came back to center and just took the elbow foul. And when we let go, I was like, oh, my arm is numb. Can I have like 10 seconds, please?
No. Hey.
it hurts.
That's when you go to the chalk bowl, if you don't need chalk or not.
Yeah, you want to give a little shade.
If you ever see me going to the chalk bowl, it's not because I want chalk.
Yeah, I'm
It's
shaking
like,
it off.
Come back.
But yeah, arm breaks suck, man. But I'm so glad you came back. I think that's a lot of things that women fear most is because our bone density is not as good as men, you know? So arm breaks seem more plausible for us
We
to
need to
happen.
lift more and heavier to reverse osteoporosis.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
my
and honestly, osteoporosis, you're not even really going to hit it till you're way later, but you have to hit osteo.
But you have to, in order to not
Something
get
first.
it, you have to
Yeah.
lift early rather
But
than
if you
later. Because if
listen,
you
if
start
you're
lifting
taking
and you get it, it's too late.
if you're taking those GLP-1s, the semaglutide stuff, and you are not working out, you are cutting your time in half for losing your bone density. So, but my point back is like women, that's what we fear is a break. But if women come back after being injured and we show other women that we can do it, it just helps. It really does, you know, because an injury will make you or break you.
Yep. There's a place that has been hosting our mega practices when we host, and the manager is kind of our friend. I'd say she's our friend. I've been like, do you want to learn how to arm wrestle? Like, it's really fun. And she's like, no, I know what happened to you. I don't want that happening to me. I'm like, it's not a common injury.
No, tears are more.
Yeah, tears are way more common and they're harder to come back from, I think. But even my surgeon, when he did the surgery, he's like, I would really like to see the video of how you broke your arm because your bones are like really strong. Like he had to torque the screws into my bone. And I was like, oh, I have the video right here. Let me show you.
Oh my goodness. I kind of want to see it. I don't know what it is. It's amazing because I'll watch videos now and I still like I get a little twitch when you think an arm break's gonna happen. Like this little PTSD. Um, and I will have to say, like, there was still so much fear even at practice. But I'll have to a lot of that fear has gone away now. It really has. So you know people are not gonna take advantage of that arm too, and it's gonna be just harder to hurt,
Yep.
regardless how much it hurts you to pull.
Yeah,
But
one of the ladies that I pulled with previously in Wisconsin, her name's Denise. She hasn't competed for probably the last year, but she just had a baby. She actually gave me the nickname the Terminator. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that.
I love it. I love that.
yeah, you got to get that on your shirt.
She
It
does.
is on my shirt.
Oh,
Yep,
I
I
haven't
got
seen it.
that.
I'm gonna
Yep.
Yeah.
look how slow I am. All right, well,
No, I got so excited when I saw it on the forum. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be fire." So, yeah, people put a lot of fun stuff on it. So, I really the jerseys turned out awesome. I was so proud.
Yeah, they fit really nice too.
they
And
do.
I got a 2X just because um I'm I'd like to say I'm in the process of losing weight, but I'm not like actively trying to lose. It
Sure.
just kind of if it falls off, it falls off type of thing. And I think working out in the gym consistently helps with that. I don't really rely on the scale just because what you're losing in fat turns into muscle, and then you're like, oh, well, I haven't lost anything, and it's really muscle now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't focused on that a whole lot. I don't know where I was going with that.
We're talking about the shirt size. You
You're
said you got it
talking
too.
about-
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, I got the 2X, and I had my husband try it on. And he's like, "Don't these feel really nice? Are these like still up for sale?" I was like, "I don't think so." But then in our group chat, someone asked about it, and you were talking about maybe doing another run, and I'm like, "I'll let you know."
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten a chance. I haven't gotten a chance yet to make the former the post yet, but that'll definitely come out this week. So,
Yeah,
spoiler alert,
Sweet.
Sunday, Monday, check out the Lucky Ones podcast page, and I'll have signups for the next round of shirts because I went ahead and did like the size up as well too, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get the smaller one. Why?
Yeah.
yeah, because I
Oh,
ordered
this
in
feels
the
nice, but
female
there's
size.
room.
Yeah, I ordered the female size and then I ordered in a male size because usually women's fit me smaller. So I went up and then I stayed with what I usually wear at a men's, which is a medium. And I'm like, I could totally do a men's small and even like a women's small because the large it's big on me. It
Right.
really is. So,
Definitely.
Well, now you have new pajamas.
right. So, well, this is how you actually tell whether your shirt's too big. So, if that seam right here does not actually sit on the edge of your shoulder, then your shirt is either if it's up here, it's too small, and if it's way down here, your shirt's too big. So pay attention to that on how you're really sizing. That seam needs to hit right there with the line going into your pit.
Yep.
So
I
I
told
like to
Brandy
wear
I wanted
tank
to
tops
show
now.
off my muscles more. I want the arms to be tighter.
Yeah, that's how I am. I was like, do I wear my Lola jersey? And then I was like, I'm gonna wear my exploding arms tank because it's like a muscle shirt, and it's like, oh,
No, you look fire in it. I'm glad you went with that one. So,
and my traps have been coming in, and it's like, oh, they look so nice.
because
yeah,
you have your super match on the 22nd.
I do have a super match on the 22nd. Yes,
Nice. How's training for that going?
it's been going good. Yesterday was obviously going to be our last practice before that tournament, just because we typically take about 2 to 3 weeks off before we go to a tournament.
Oh man.
And with me having a super match also, I'm like, I'm gonna dial it back just a little because this sucker needs to be 100%.
Is it left hand super match?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Who's your opponent again?
Allison Melby. And I would have pulled her at Minnesota State in 2023, but I broke my arm. So I didn't get to pull her.
Oh,
And then we pulled last February, and I would say that it was pretty close, but she beat me. And that was only, what would have that been? Like 6 months after my arm break. So that was like not the best.
That's amazing though that you've got it back on the table that fast. Cause like I was scared. I know we have another female that pulled with us and she broke hers and the guys have suggested just hold off for at least a year, but you're like you sound like whatever, I don't care. It's there's a pin in it
Yeah,
now.
so
You're
yeah,
just attacking
so I
it.
broke it. I broke it in June of 2023, and then I pulled in December of 2023, and I didn't do the best, but I still pulled. And then even like Josh Hanlon in Minnesota, he's like, "Are you sure you want to be competing and like practicing?" I'm like, "I feel fine, okay? Let me do what I want."
So when you broke it, did you have any radial nerve damage or it was just like a nice little clean break? You had function? That's nice,
It
man.
was a clean break. Yep,
All
a
I had
nice
was this for
spiral.
like 8 months, this finger moving. It hit that nerve bad.
Yeah, that was something that the doctors were concerned about. And they're like, "Can you move your hand?" I'm like, "Uh-huh, yep, I can do that." And then they like when they're taking x-rays, like, "Can you do this?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, yeah,
we're trying
yeah.
to get those pictures. Like when I broke my foot in September of 2023, like the pictures and the X-ray was literally worse than the actual breaking of the leg.
Yeah, because they're like, "We're gonna position you this way now." It's like, don't touch that,
We have
or I
to,
will
we
touch
have to
you.
lift
I
it up.
swear to God.
Yeah, we have to lift it up to see if the bone went through the skin. Do you see blood? No, you don't. Don't touch the arm. That was the hard part. Yeah, having to lift it up and put something underneath there. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, they splinted me, and I actually had to go back to the competition because my husband and son were there, and my mom and dad. So everyone's like, "Why are you back here?" I'm like, my family is here." And of course, I'm like way up here. And they're like,
that's some heart, girl.
"How
I love
high are
that.
you?"
They just gave you morphine and said, "All right, we'll see you for surgery." How long did you have to wait till surgery?
Um, I had surgery. Okay, so let's see. I had surgery on June 29th, and I broke it, I think, like a week before that. So I had to wait for a while.
Yeah, I had to wait for like 2 weeks, was it? Yeah, about 2 weeks. That sucked.
Yeah. And every time you go over a bump, even if you're slinged, it's like shifting, and you're like, "Oh, fuck. Don't do that again, please."
Could you feel the bone? Like I would wake up and I would have like this jerk in the middle of the night. Oh my goodness. And I could feel the bone move. Like anytime you stood up. Yeah.
I think they did like a partial cast splint when I left the hospital because the competition was like 3 hours from where we live. And so they did like a half cast compression sleeve type thing. So it
Okay.
didn't move around a whole lot. Obviously, they didn't set it, but anytime I went over like any major bumps or anything, it was like, "Can we not do that, please?"
I could feel mine move. That was like you I mean you could. I had the splint too and you could just be like I'm like so but yeah, no. Mm-mm.
And then you have to get my youngest kids are like, "Mom, hug me." I'm like, "I can't. I can go like this."
I was happy I had just cut my hair so I didn't have to really worry about brushing it. But being home alone and trying to go to the bathroom by myself, yeah, pissed my pants
They're just like,
at least twice. Try to get the pants
"I'm not
down.
gonna wear pants for a couple days."
I was stuck on the couch. Like I didn't sleep in my bed for solid like month because my bed was just so high and I was just like, no, I'm on the couch, sitting
Yeah, and
straight up.
even getting into vehicles, like my husband had to drive that whole time, and he's like, "Can you get in? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Just open the door. I can slide myself in."
Put a pillow here and a pillow there and
Yeah,
go
that
slow
just
over the
having
railroad.
your arm like,
Yeah. I still have the hospital towel that they gave me that went underneath my arm while they were doing stuff. I don't know. I still have that towel. Like
Like your
that's like my sweat
souvenir.
towel
Is
now.
that your souvenir?
That's my souvenir. Yeah. And it's also it's funny because I turn it into one of the grips and that I hang from. Try to learn. Yeah. So yeah.
It's constant reminder.
Yeah. I just won't bring it to practice because I'm like afraid that will be my jinx, but it stays here. But yeah, I still have it. It's a long pink towel.
I
Mm.
kept I kept the brace for forever, and we just did some like pre-spring cleaning, and I was like, I don't need this thing anymore, and I got rid of it.
Um,
And
I have one
I
that
have the
actually has
hardware.
yeah, I have the one that has like the metal clip, like Freddy
Yep,
Krueger to help me do my
yep,
fingers. Yeah, I still have that. So it smelled. Oh, getting in there and cleaning was awful.
yeah. Okay, so they had stitches like right up at my right here, and those ones got like super itchy all the time, and I was just like, I
Were
need to
they
itch
stitches or
this.
staples? I had staples. It was
I
42 or 44 staples.
I had 32 stitches. So was a lot of I did compete. I mean, okay, so I had the surgery, and then the next weekend was 4th of July weekend. And they have like a small little arm wrestling thing that they do just because, people are interested in it, but not interested enough to host like a giant tournament. So it's like a small town thing. And we learned about it that year too. And we're like, we need to go to that. And my husband's like, are you sure you still want to do it? And I'm like, yes, because my arm is like permanently like this, so I can still hold the peg and do what I need to do.
Heck
I
yeah.
actually ended up winning that too, so that was fun.
You might be my new favorite badass.
I have it right here.
For sure. You have massive heart and determination. This is awesome. It's really awesome.
I love it. So
Yeah.
do you like competing in state, or do you like going like other places like over to North Carolina and Wisconsin and all that?
Um, we travel to Wisconsin a lot just because Leander puts on tournaments like almost every month. And so we kind of try to figure out if it fits into our budget and if we have the time off from work. Well, my husband, if he has the time off from work.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of some stuff that we look into. And I told him this year too, I was like, I want to travel more, like do a lot more traveling and get a lot more experience in with competing and that sort of thing. Um, so like upcoming is February 22nd in Ham Lake, obviously, and I have my super match there. And then
Go
2
to the
weeks
tournament
after that,
too, or are you gonna just stick with the super match, you think?
oh, I'm pulling the tournament too.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know how great I'm going to be at the tournament, at least left arm, but I feel my right has kind of progressed a lot farther than I had expected it to, just because my left was my power arm, and it's always been more connected than my right. And I think that kind of goes for everyone. Like their off arm is usually their more dominant arm, except for my husband. His dominant arm is his power arm. But yeah, when I broke this and started focusing my training on my right, and now my right is like my power arm, so to speak, and my left is like, if I do good, I do good. If I don't, whatever.
Yeah. I get that. Mm-mm-mm.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, so then so you'll have your super match in February. Can't wait to hear all about that. That's gonna be really cool. I know Lexi has one too
Yep.
at the same event, so that's awesome that there's gonna be two female. Is her left-handed as well, or is hers right?
Um, I think hers is left. Don't quote me on that because I'm not for sure. But I know the last time that she pulled with Elizabeth was lacrosse in 2023.
Okay.
And honestly, I think that's the last time, besides doing worlds, I think that's the last time Elizabeth has competed too.
Oh wow. Okay. So I'm just saying that to have two female left-hand super matches potentially, That is
Yes.
insane at the same event. That's really, really cool. So
Mm.
Yeah, that
best
was something that I was
luck
just
to
like,
both of you.
yes, thank you. Yeah, that was I was supposed to have a super match back in October. I think it was October. Yeah, because it would have been in October because I did the powerlifting competition the next or the day after or the day before, something like that. Anyways, I was supposed to have a super match in October. Um, the person was number 2 in Minnesota left-handed. I called her out. She accepted. I'm not going to name her name just because I don't know what the whole situation was, but she didn't show up and she was like a no call, no show. And that made a lot of people upset. And everyone's just like, dude, you don't deserve that. That's so uncool. I'm like, I'll just find the next person to pull. I don't care really.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
that
is that girl still pulling? Like, did she come back at all, or is she kind of just stepped away for a while now, ever since?
I couldn't tell you. She hasn't reached out to me. She hasn't reached out to anybody else, to my knowledge. So I don't know what the situation was. I don't think anyone will ever know what the situation was. It was just kind of one of those sucky positions to be in because, then you have everyone feeling sorry for you, like, oh, you trained so hard for this and no one showed up. And I'm like, it's fine. It gives me
Yeah.
more rest. I just did a powerlifting competition. Like, holy crap.
It was in the cards. Okay.
Very true.
Is your super match going to be streamed?
Yes, they live streamed their event.
Okay. Make sure I put everything in my
Bomb
calendar.
Squad Arm Wrestling. They have
Okay.
a YouTube channel and then their Facebook. Sometimes I can't get their stuff working on Facebook and they'll do it from their own private accounts. So Callie Deerfield or Sean
Okay.
Deerfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I didn't get to meet them, but I saw it's Callie and Lexi, mother and daughter, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they were definitely at East versus West in Florida. Um, so I
Yep.
saw
Lexi beat Michelle Dugan. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was a big win for her.
Very
She
true,
is
Alex.
awesome.
Very true, Alex.
Michelle's good peeps. So
Alex is blowing up our chat. So shout out to him.
Yeah, he's like, just go to the gym and do it there. And I was like, okay, I'm really nervous though. He's like,
uh,
you'll be fine.
doing great. What is coming up after your super match?
Um, so I'm still kind of trying to talk my husband into it, but I would like to pull in Vegas.
Okay.
Or Winter Blast. You coming to Winter Blast?
Yeah. Yeah. So we kind of have to factor in how much stuff costs for us.
Right.
I wouldn't like to say we're like on the medium income type family.
Sure.
I work and he works, but money isn't the best thing always. So we kind of factor in if it fits into our budget. And
Winter Blast
I
has
would,
female payouts.
I saw that.
Alex, you can stay home with the kids so she can pull. Hey, that's probably something too where y'all just take turns pulling a tournament. You know, because I mean,
Yeah,
like you have your local stuff, but you guys can factor out whose goals are what for the year. I totally think you could get some sponsorship. Just
yeah.
hearing your story and listening to you, I totally think you could get some sponsorship.
Yeah,
So
we've actually I reached out to the guy that owns our gym here because he's kind of been, hey, if you guys want to have practice or even an event, you can use the space and it'd be like behind us here. And they have a CrossFit room across the way. And we're like, yeah, thank you. I don't know if we'll do any event, but we'll have like practice.
I take him up on that because then again, the next thing is probably sponsorship. And a lot of times that's just like your entry fee and maybe some airfare. Just say you'll cover your food, you know, and then
Yeah.
it's
Yep. And then I was
much.
also looking at the one in Ohio to qualify for Worlds. So I was like, God, that'd be so awesome to do.
Yeah, but
Wow.
that's kind of close to the round robin. Missed 2 to 3 weeks off.
True.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you could just fly down to South Carolina and do
Or you
the
could just qualify for your right hand and just pull right there.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, and then obviously, I mean, Shauna may have given me a little heads up, but she was like, hey, just so you know, some people dropped out and they're looking for replacements, so you might get asked, but don't hold me on that. And I'm not going to make any promises. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's okay. And
No,
then, like a couple of weeks went by and I got your message. I was like, yes, absolutely. I would love to. So,
no, yeah, I was
yeah.
really
So I'll be doing the
excited.
round robin too.
Yep.
now. Is there going to be a tournament at all that day after the round robin? So we're just doing the ladies round robin. Okay. All right. Nice.
Yep. So it'll be it starts at 12 and we'll probably I'm not sure which one he's doing first. Last year it was the 155s first and then the 154s. So if that schedule changes, if that schedule doesn't change, then it'll be 155 and then 154s directly after instead of the next day. So
Okay.
but it'll be a good day. It'll be a good day for sure. Right now we have all 12 spots filled up, hoping it stays that way. Everybody seems very, committed and training hard. The 155's crew for sure. We said Shauna was on the show on our little like recap of last weekend, and it's the lineup is just one of those things where I don't know who's gonna come out on top, and I don't know what's gonna happen in the middle. It's
Yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting. Women like Jolene coming in is just like, okay, she's gonna hurt some feelings. And then,
Hopefully.
depends on when you pull too, because if you have, somebody in your last round and you've pulled 11 other people, whoo, or well, 10
Yeah,
other people.
I think people kind of underestimate just how much a match can take out of you, especially if it's like a long bender. Like if you guys are sitting there just at center table and you're like, I feel good, but I don't know if I want to hold on much longer. Can you like just tire out, please?
Right. Can you lose, please?
I think, yeah, I
Just
think the
let me
round
bring
robin
you
teach
over
you how to
here.
strategize your endurance for sure. So,
You
Yeah,
gotta build
that
it.
was something that when we first started was kind of always kind of pushed into our head, like constant pressure. If you get to a certain spot and you're comfortable there, try to keep it as long as you can, because eventually your opponent's going to wear out and you'll get an easy pin. And I'm like, yeah, that's easier said than done if you're fighting center table and you're just like, okay, this is going awesome. Boop, elbow foul.
I have to go, you guys. I got to go back to work. It was fun talking to you.
see you,
You
Steph.
too.
Bye.
Be safe. So who do you kind of look up to in the sport, and who you kind of watching, who you want to group up with one day, who would you like to train with?
Oh
You want
boy.
to take that?
Okay, so it's hard to answer. I wrote this one down because I was like, I don't even know how to answer this one. Um, Obviously, Devin Larratt is the most looked up to for people that get into the sport because he's very compelling on screen type of thing and he gets people like interested and pulls you in.
Sure.
But Monster Factory, Michael Todd and Rebecca Todd were
Nice.
gracious to host and have VIPs there. So I would say that they were giant in actually getting us into pulling. And at Monster Factory, I actually did get to pull with Rebecca a little bit. That was the one where she pulled Sarah Latona, so I got to pull Sarah too.
Oh,
And
nice.
that was like brand new into the sport, so I couldn't move her. And I was like, God, I wonder what it'd be like if I met up with her today. That is not a call out by any means necessary, but it was nice to get like
I'm
your
texting Sarah
here
now.
and be like,
Right.
being like, look, this is how far I've come since I first pulled with you. Um,
And that's one thing we love about Sarah. She'd just be so proud of you and happy and
Mhm.
excited for you
Yeah, like,
because
yeah.
she's just that type of person. So,
And then she'd go back to the gym and buckle up, going, "No, she's not gonna get me."
Yeah. Like she was a stone wall. I couldn't move her at all. But now I'm like, okay, I'm 2.5 years into the sport. I'm sure I can probably move her a little bit. Um, but the world champ on the east side, Barbara, uh, I would say that I kind of look up to her for her heart and soul in the sport, and she kind of reminds us of our daughter.
Mm.
Daughter, Michaela, she's 13. She's wheelchair bound, but we're like, they look so familiar, and we're like, okay, Michaela could be that someday. We just have to get her competing. And I actually just asked Callie like a week or two ago. I was like, hey, if we bring our daughter's table up there, can she compete with the kids and maybe even the ladies? And she was like, what's her table like? What does it look like? And I'm like, it looks like this. And I sent her a picture of Steve Baldwin with legacy tables before he quit making tables, made it for her. So it's like up to spec with WAL and stuff or IFA, whatever one he uses.
Mhm.
It's just shorter because it's built to like just above the height of her wheelchair dimension. So she fits under it just perfectly. And
So
I'm like,
she could
oh,
do so she
that's
could do
awesome.
sit downs, right, Lucky?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but and there's not that many places that hold a lot of sit downs. Virginia,
Yeah, I
Valley.
actually I reached out to Sean Hancock like literally last week and I was like, hey, we're trying to get our daughter competing more. Do you know of any tournaments that are like sit down or for disabled? And he goes, well, yeah, my Vegas one, I have a disabled class. And then he goes, and the sit downs are in Virginia or West Virginia coming up. And he sent me the link and I looked it up. I'm like, that is the same weekend as the round robin. I cannot take her to that one.
I thought, I'm sorry, when I looked up sit downs, I thought it was 2 weeks later.
So on Arm Fighters, they have it as April 19th because it's normally been either the second or third week of April. But this year they are doing it on April 26th. Then they announced that at the end of the sit downs last year.
And round robin is the
On
fifth
the
April
and sixth.
26th.
26th.
Why do I keep thinking it's the fifth and sixth? I swear I never get anything right
Because
when
the
it
fifth
comes.
and sixth is IFA
Okay.
champion. But yeah, so then the what's it called? The New Jersey is doing sit downs as well too. They just haven't announced when that will be. So it's supposed to be New York, New Jersey area is doing a sit down tournament, potentially in the
So
summer, if not the fall.
yeah, and we know
Yeah.
Sarah Bachman got herself a sit down table, so maybe they might throw something in Florida one day. I can see that happening. I think that's the plus side with doing worlds, whether you're IFA or WAF, they have more of those categories for our kids who are disabled. So, I like that.
Oh,
Yeah, we
Michael
actually,
Nance says to connect with Todd Allen Jackson because he runs the sit down in Ohio.
okay, awesome. And
'Cause
let's write that down.
I want to try sit downs. So yeah. Mm.
But yeah, we actually,
I love sit downs.
last night, she was kind of playing around. She likes to play around with us with arm wrestling. And my husband was like, Michaela, let me see your wrist. And she like held her wrist up to his. And he's like, your wrists are massive. And like they're bigger than his. And we're like, God, you no wonder no one can like crack you back ever because you have that just raw strength from pushing her chair all day long. And it's like,
Hmm.
I'm actually very excited to have her competing because she's kind of followed along with us with practicing and stuff. And she's pulled various people and various people teach her things. So I'm kind of excited to see her actually compete and see how well she does with that. And if she actually would want to stay in competing, or if she's just like, no, I'll just do it for fun.
Well, and if you don't mind me asking about your daughter, was she born to be wheelchair bound, or was this a disability that got developed later on? I'm nosy.
No, yep. So she has a neural tube defect. She was born with spina bifida,
Gotcha.
myelomeningocele. She had a 4 centimeter cyst on her back when she was a baby. And she was born emergency C-section. I went into labor early. And they did the C-section to try to prevent the cyst from popping, but it popped anyways. And so then when she was 8 hours old, she had her first surgery to get her spinal tissue and stuff back into her back and close it. So she has this giant scar on her back, but she doesn't let that like hold her back at all ever. And she's very strong for the type of disability that she has.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's freaking. That's awesome. I have special needs kids, um, as well. So, does your daughter have any feeling below, any movement, or is it completely? So,
Um, she has like patchy sensory. It's
Mhm.
not, they don't really consider it feeling just because it's not something that she feels all the time. She had a burn accident a few years back on her lower bottom, and she
Mhm.
didn't feel that at all. And she had to be in a hospital for like a month and a half and get skin grafts and everything with that. And they were even doing like a poke test. But since she was watching them poke her, she was like, yeah, I can feel that. And then I was
Yeah,
like,
I can
hey,
see
look
that.
over here. And then you like get her distraction somewhere else. And then they did it again and she wasn't reacting. We're like, okay, she can't feel that. So we're not super worried about like pain management or any of that stuff, just more infection based. And she hasn't really had a whole lot of accident, so to speak. She's very aware of where she is. And we held out hope for her to be able to walk when she was a baby. And when she hit like a year, a little over a year, we're like, okay, she's not going to be able to walk. She's just crawling everywhere. And she got the appointment for a wheelchair fitting, and she sat in one of their trial wheelchairs and she was zooming around the whole place already. And we're like, yeah,
She's nothing
that's
that
just gonna
you're.
have to be how it is.
Yeah, she sounds awesome. She sounds like a fighter too. Like she's just got a lot of heart. And she's like, yeah,
Absolutely.
whatever. That's great. I can't wait to meet you guys and your kids. This is a great story.
Definitely. So what well, you've done a lot of different polling and a lot of different obviously activities through sports and then your powerlifting and all that stuff. And is there like a certain like promotion that you've really liked to work with or event that you've really been like, this one sticks out to me as like chef's kiss?
Um, yeah, that I also wrote down as hard to answer, just because I haven't really been a part of any particular promotion. Um, Callie and Sean with their bomb squad stuff is fairly new. They just started that last year.
Right,
So they have some hiccups that they're trying to work through still
right,
before they're like one of those like top tier type promotions.
right.
Um, Monster Factory was definitely a fun atmosphere. Like they provided food and everything for everyone,
Ooh.
and they're like super down to earth. And we got to go bowling with them afterwards. That was a lot of fun. Um, uh, that was, let's see, that would have been December of 2022. So we were celebrating Craig Tulier's birthday and Rebecca's birthday. So we went bowling afterwards. It was actually a lot of fun. And then I was like, hey, we had our son with us. And we're like, hey, he'd like to get a group picture with you guys. So we actually have a nice big group picture of most of the people that were at Monster Factory 3. And then
Not
our son is there in the middle, and it's like, ha, that's cool.
I
And
love
then we've also obviously Joe Drellick and NBK Media. We were a part of the Minnesota State, but that was his last event that he did, and he doesn't promote or do any arm wrestling stuff anymore. So it's like, I guess that's just kind of out of there.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, yeah, that Monster Factory. I love when arm wrestlers get together and do something besides arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Because it really brings out like people's like competitive sides when they get to do something like that's not like, you know, the sport that we're in. So I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like, oh, you don't want me to rip your arm off your shoulder? Okay, let's do something else where I can just try to get a higher score than you. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we're this question we call the Jessie because Jessie on Drovert came up with it, and I told her every time that I asked it, I would give her a shout out. So shout out to Jessie for this question. Where do you see arm wrestling going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I say that we're kind of on a high right now with, again, working with Robert Baxter and trying to get the sport to be more mainstream.
Hmm.
I think, um, with that being said, on the higher end of arm wrestling, there's still a lot of drama that happens, and it's like they don't keep it behind walls enough. Like anytime something happens, someone knows about it, and then it's so widespread amongst the community that it's like, well, what do you think about that? Well, what do you think about that? Whereas like in like a bigger professional sport like NFL or NBA, if something like that happens, it's like on the hush hush, like PRs all over that. And if you learn about it, it's like somebody leaked it to the media. So I think that's something that has to kind of get sorted out. But aside from that, I would like to see arm wrestling be more mainstream, and I would like more females to be not afraid to compete and not so much like you see people that will arm wrestle on like tables and stuff. I like seeing those videos, but also I'm like, God, you're gonna get yourself hurt because you don't know what you're doing and you're making the sport look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Fair? No,
I've
that's
seen that a few times now.
yeah. No, I would totally get that. Well, when you when you are in a match though, like obviously like your adrenaline's going and it's either like, oh that was faster, oh this takes forever, or oh this didn't go the way I thought it was going to go at all. Like when you look at like your own matches, what are some of your favorite ones that you've had in the sport so far?
Um, let's see. I would say pulling with Shauna is always really fun, just because like we talk beforehand and she's like, okay, this is how you can beat me. I'm probably not going to let you get to that point, but if you can get to it, you can beat me. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And then you get up to the table and you're like, wait, what did you say to me earlier? How did you say I could beat you? I completely forgot. And then pulling with Lexi has always been really fun. Um, she's kind of was always very intimidating when I was first into the sport.
Right.
Because they do like super matches in Minnesota every couple months or so, just for like rankings purposes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I met Lexi was at like one of their super match series, and it was in Josh Handlin's basement, and it was freaking crowded in there. And it just turned into a mega practice afterwards. And I don't even know. My husband would have to answer like how far into arm wrestling we were at that point, but I met Lexi there and pulled with her a bit, and it was just flash pin, flash pin, flash pin. I was like, what the fuck? I cannot do that. I do not have that kind of speed. And so that's kind of something that I've always like hyped myself up for. Like, okay, if I can catch her, I know with the pulling that we've done, like slow pulling, I have like extra strength. So if I
Right.
can catch her, I can beat her. And that's kind of what I've told myself every time that I've met up with her on the table. And I have two wins on her right hand. So
Nice.
thing that I'm like, yeah, I get it finally. Uh, so yeah, so last February, she had a super match with a gal, left and right-handed, and then she pulled in the tournament too, and I was able to pin her right-handed, and I was like, fuck yes. And I took that one to heart. I think I only got fourth right then at that event, but I was like, that was my like picture perfect moment type thing.
Love
And
it.
then I called her out for her number one ranking at the next super match series, and it was she won the first round, I won the second round, and then she won the last two, so it was 3-1, and I was like, I'm so close.
Yeah. It's fun when you can have that friendly competition, but also like that pace horse where you're kind of like gauging where you're at. Like, okay, we were here at one point, now we're here, now we're getting here, now we're here, and you just kind of stay kind of neck and neck with somebody. I think that's one of the like really fun things about having a community of ladies that you can pull with kind of regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a gal in Wisconsin, Alexandra. Well, I think she lives in Illinois, but she pulls in a lot of Wisconsin tournaments. Alexandria Forcia, I think that's how you say her last name. And she's in the one. Well, she usually pulls in the 154s, but she's in like 160 up type of thing. And she's always been one of those females that could always beat me. And this last year in Glidden, I beat her finally left and right. And I was like, oh, yes, awesome. I'm so proud of myself.
You sound like you're getting like you're gaining fast speed, real fast speed on getting ahead of the people that were knocking you down right at the beginning. It's amazing.
I
Definitely.
think, yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with us being in the gym and training constantly. People always say consistency is key, and they kind of take that their own way. Like, okay, well, consistency like table time, and then they're overtraining themselves because they're going to like every practice they can find. And we've done that before too, where we overtrained ourselves, where our arms are like, please don't touch us like ever again. And then we finally kind of mellowed out to where we're like, okay, one practice a week, that's enough for us. And we'll do our recovery day in the gym. That's what it was today. And then we give it like a rest day, and then like we'll come back here Monday and we'll start trying to hit PRs and stuff with our arm wrestling lifts and go back to our regular weightlifting. I think this next week will be our last heavy week. And then next week is just going to be like band work and lightweight, high volume, or yeah.
A little bit of deloading. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Oh,
week of, we like to take off, at least from arm wrestling specific stuff.
sure.
Yeah.
Is your super match in February for any like rank or anything?
Yep. So when my super match fell through in October, Allison took the numbers 2 spot. So then I jumped from fifth to third, and because I took that chick that didn't show up off the rankings. So I was like, okay, well, I thought I just went to number 2, but technically I haven't beaten Allison yet, so she's number 2. I was
Gotcha.
like, you know what? And I asked her, I was like, hey, so you're number 2, and I would like a super match either at Exploding Arms or the next super match series. So would you be interested in doing that, left or right? And she was like, I've actually been talking myself into getting back into training, so let me think about it. And then the next day she's like, you know what? Yeah, I accept that. I accept your call out. I was like, sweet, I'll talk to Kelly.
Nice.
Nice. You just lit a fire under her to get her back in and going. So nice.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then Lexi's number one still, correct?
Yep. She's number 1 right and left. So I
Is
don't
she your
think I'm
next?
quite there. Yeah. I don't think I'm quite there for Lexi left-handed at least, but I know that my right hand is
Getting there.
there.
So maybe 2026 exploding his arms. We'll see Jolene versus Lexi.
Probably. We'll probably meet up a few times before that.
True, fair. Does Minnesota have anything like if you beat her in like a tournament that like amps up the call out, or does that change your rankings, or does it have to be like an official super match?
To take her spot, it has to be an official super match, at least for the ladies. They do have like an overall rankings list of like all of the Minnesota pullers. So if you type in Minnesota arm wrestling rankings on Google, it comes up with like a Google document thing, and
Okay.
that'll list out like everybody. And so, like, if I were to beat her in a tournament, it'd probably bump me above her in that list, but not on like the actual women's rankings list.
Okay, cool. Yeah, every
I
state does
think
it
you'd
different.
have to talk to Josh about that.
No, you're good. Every state does it a little different. And so it's just curious to see where y'all was. Cause like I mean in Virginia, like if somebody beats somebody in a tournament and they aren't ranked, then that opens them up to call that person out. But if
Yep.
they don't beat them in a tournament, then they have to go through like the gatekeeper and it's like, you're only allowed to call out like two spots ahead or whatnot. So
Yeah.
like 10, 9 or 10 or 7 or 8 or however many are in there.
Yeah, I would say that Ryan, he posted, so May 10th is going to be at the next Minnesota Supermatch Series, and he did say that based on your performance and exploding arms, you're more likely to get a chance to get a match. So he's like, come pull at exploding arms. Like, let's see what you're made of. And if you're really good and you beat some people that are like higher up on the list or even middle list, you can call them out and put yourself middle list or higher up. And it's like, yeah, I like that idea.
Incentives.
For sure, for sure. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Virginia call out. I'm just
Yeah,
sitting.
but
I'm happy where I'm at though. I'll stay happily at the top.
yeah, that's kind of let's see. The last they did like Bomb Squad did a summer explosion tournament, and they had Lexi and Shauna go against each other left and right because Shauna's number one left and well, I don't know. I think Danielle's number one right-handed.
I think
Someone over
I
there
think
is,
she's number I think they have the two separate weight classes. Because I
yep,
think Anna is right and left number one Wisconsin for her weight class.
yeah.
Sean,
Um,
you're still here. Let us know.
I'm also on Wisconsin rankings, but that's because I compete over there a lot. Uh, but yeah, so they had their super match back in August, and I couldn't tell you the results of that. I don't remember, but they do
I
stuff like that.
think I'm pretty
And
sure
that's kind
Lexi
of,
won right and Shauna won left.
yes, that's correct. And that's kind of like what this super match is Elizabeth is from South Dakota, so that's a neighboring state type of thing, and coming to Biloxi, which is really cool because that's a really far
Definitely. All right.
drive.
So, what's something that you're looking forward to kind of achieving sort of in the future in your arm wrestling career?
Um, I would like to. I'm kind of happy where I'm at with my rankings, at least in Minnesota. I would like to do more competitions nationwide and go against obviously other female competitors. I know kind of what my weaknesses are now.
Hmm.
No one else is going to learn them. Uh,
We won't make you
but I
out
kind of,
yourself right now.
I know, yeah, I know what my weaknesses are and what I need to work on. And I think if we travel more and compete more, I can work on those sort of things. So I'm like, I'd really like to be, and kind of like how I was telling my husband, I'm like, God, it'd be so freaking awesome to compete at Worlds. Like that'd be something really fun to do. So I think that's like one of those goals that I have is competing at like nationals and Worlds and that sort of thing.
Right.
that's where I would like to end up, and then be like Gabby and have like 34 world titles where you're like, oh, I worked hard for this.
Definitely. No, I love it. That would be really cool. So I can't wait to see you accomplish that for sure.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Do you ever think about pulling the World Series of arm wrestling?
Um, I haven't thought about it much. No, it would
Listen,
be fun though.
it's one of the highest paid out events towards women, and if we can get more women, that tournament alone can really guarantee more prize. This is for us. We just women, we just have to show up. A minimum of 6 will get it's roughly about a 400. It was like $400 payout for the first, right? And there's some little bonuses with it as well, like a $1,500 watch, and they're nice looking. Don't get me wrong, but again, these guys are getting paid. Like I think Corey took home like what 8 grand. Lucky Adam brought
I mean,
home.
I know it was 15 grand worth of prizes, and I'm pretty sure 8 of it was cash.
Yeah. So, and then my teammate, I think he brought about 45, and that was with cash and prizes. And these are nice. The little swag bags and stuff that they get are nice. They're not, I mean, there's some nice stuff. I genuinely think if more women showed up, Greg could get us up there close to matching with the men. We just have to show up. So,
Right.
because I mean, we deserve a little bit more, and I'm noticing this is happening. I'm noticing some payouts are rising, getting more sponsorship for us ladies. But I think you would do well with WSA. I definitely think you would. Yep.
Oh, thanks.
Well, and the plus side is this: you find your qualifier, you go pull it, and then everybody knows when finals is. So, and then you show up in finals, and finals was at a great location. The setup was wonderful, honestly. WSA is a little bit more organized too. So everything immediately goes to ref grip. It's on a time schedule. It's kind of fast and in and out. So
Yeah.
we don't wait around a lot as much either. We really don't. I was like, we
Yeah,
went
we
up
have
pretty
kids to
fast.
feed, okay?
Yeah. So I think it's $50 an arm, And again, you pull, you go and you pull, you're gonna automatically get yourself to the finals. So we had 7 women. That was
I
it.
think that's what we've had at a Wisconsin tournament. And that was something like I created a chat group for like the Midwest ladies, at least like Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin and like our surrounding state, just because we're all closer to each other then. And I added all of the ladies that I'd ever competed with to the group. And then I'm like, if you guys compete with someone, add them to the group. I want this group to be big. And then I've always said like I want to hold like a female only type mega practice. And me and my husband, we have the space for it, obviously. And we're just like, we just got to get commitment. And that's something that's hard to do because everyone has their own schedules. And it's like, well, if I set it for a year out, does that give you guys enough time? Or is your schedule already planned out for the next year? And that type of thing. Like Shauna's always gone on weekends unless she has a tournament that's cut out of her schedule. And then like Lexi, she's a tattoo artist, so weekends don't work for her. So then it's like, well, if I do it in the middle of the week, I'm not going to have like anybody available.
Well, not sure. I mean, you might hit a summertime or a spring break type of thing, and that might be a little bit easier for people who have travel and like with kids. Like I will travel and for an all female practice, or even if it's just a dominant amount of female, I'm coming and I'm just gonna pull the ladies for sure. Other than that, I only pull my team. So, but I'll travel for the women. And we were talking about that as like the podcast and the collective as whole is having like traveling little teaching things to invite more women. So you doing that, you actually just might get those newbies too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
I've done that when we do mega practices. I make flyers and I hang them up at our gym here and like around town. And I'll put like event pages up on Facebook. And I'm like, we need women. Please come. Don't be
I
afraid to
love
pull.
it.
You can bring your kids too.
I love it.
I'm telling you, like, you're a perfect freaking ambassador for women right now, for sure.
Definitely.
Mm.
I love it. That's awesome.
So
I'll
I
come,
think
I'll come help you
with
do
the
child's hair.
Would the Utah qualifier be the closest one to you?
That or Kansas.
Yeah.
Kansas is closer. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
They just
August
had
9th.
Kansas State.
Yeah.
Oh, how come
So
you're from Jersey?
Who? What?
You? No,
No,
Minnesota.
I'm from
No,
Minnesota.
I was thinking Wisconsin. My bad.
well, okay,
I'm
so
from Minnesota.
I know. But yeah. Sorry. In my mind, I just swapped the two.
well,
That's okay.
WSA qualifiers in Kansas are August 9th.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I'll look for that and add it to my calendar. And my husband's from Kansas, so let's go on vacation and see your family.
There you.
yeah, there you go. It's an excuse. So
That's what I did when I had to pull in. Where was I pulling? Oh, in West Chester, West Virginia. I just stayed with my sister in Canton. I was like, coming up, I'm sleeping on your guest bed, so I don't gotta get a hotel.
yeah,
So,
find
Yeah.
another puller that you
Hotels
can
are
stay with.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta find somebody to host you.
I've talked to Sana and Danielle about that too. Like, when are you guys doing practice? Can I stay with you, please?
Mm.
I love it.
So, are you gonna pull Michigan State in June?
I thought about it. That's another my husband's mom lives in Kansas and his dad lives in Michigan. So we have family in both states. And that was something that we were considering because it's the first weekend of June is like that's when they typically have Michigan State, but they moved it to the last weekend of June for this year. And that is our youngest boy's birthday weekend. So we're like, I don't know if we're gonna go to that.
I'm
There
looking to
is
go.
a water park right across the street from the Kellogg Arena. So y'all could just like pull and then
Don't
go
say
celebrate
that.
with us.
Heck yeah. We
park.
we could grab your kid a cake. We could celebrate it in Pole.
Right?
So I don't know. I'd like to come up there. Financially, if it doesn't work out, then I will do body armor event in North Carolina unless a certain someone decides to throw a tournament here in South. Adam. So but yeah, I personally like Michigan State. I mean like 10 to 12 women last year. So
More than
Lucky's
that.
going again, right? Lucky no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and go.
There was about 15 women because there was 2 in one class, 6 in another, and 9 in the high. So
Yep. Then typically the 1st of December, you're looking at Washington with Tim Talent and all them. That had that was probably about 12 women too. If not,
Arizona
women.
State is June 7th, and that
Mhm.
had a buttload of women, especially especially with the Swedes coming over.
Yep, and women,
Oh
if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, you can but Tim and Kayla, the women get the
women
same
pull
payout that
free.
men do.
Yep.
The pull free and women get the same payout.
Yep.
That was
Maybe that's why
December
I'm
7th of
advancing
last
so
year.
quickly.
Yeah. So
My
When
heritage
you
is
start
Swedish.
looking at all of them, oh my goodness, your calendar fills up so fast.
listen,
I know,
I'm on
like
a budget too. I'm gonna send you some coupon links because that's what I do. Like I've got my little travel fund piggy bank.
So
yeah, I started doing
outside of your tri-state, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, what's a woman that even if she's in our, we won't, no drama, no call out, no anything, but who are
yeah.
you super excited to like grip up with one day?
Um
And we'll try to get her at a tournament that you'll be at.
Well, I'd say Elizabeth Sue, but she's going to be at the next tournament, so I'll get to kind of match my power against her again. I don't know if she's pulling the tournament though, but hopefully she'd be fun to pull. Saltzman, that's yeah, that lady. And then I always get to pull with Shauna and Danielle when I go to Wisconsin events because they're usually almost at every one. So I always get to test my power with them. And then we won't be able to do Cornhuskers this year because it falls on the same date that was scheduled for Minnesota State.
Gotcha.
So July 12th. So my rematch with Lauren Cruz will have to wait.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, that's cool. Well, it gives her more time to train up for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-mm.
Very cool. So, like I said, we started roughly around the same time, like obviously like the same year. You at the beginning and then I popped up there at the end. But so being kind of newer to the sport, but still obviously you've made awesome progression in a short period of time, which is very, very impressive. Um and I just know that the sky's the limit, obviously, with your
Yes.
drive and your determination. So when you're looking at like your journey, what's some advice that you would give to somebody who's looking to get into the sport or who's in the sport and kind of newer and maybe doesn't have quite the uh quite the resume that you have made for
I
yourself?
um well kind of like I had mentioned earlier, I'm kind of mentoring some new females in Minnesota here.
Right.
Um kind of like Elena, she said she's going to be pulling at this next tournament. So I've been like, okay, what's your weight? So I can give you an idea of who you'll be pulling. She was like, she's like in 160 something. I'm like, oh, you're going to have to pull against me and Lexi and Shauna and Brittany if they show up. And she was like, what? I'm like, don't worry. I said, we're not mean, I promise. I'm
You're not
like,
supposed to
it'll
tell
just,
her who they're pulling. Just let them be surprised.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. I was like, oh, I'll just kind of just so you can have an idea of like who you'd be up against type of thing. Because she's been pulling with me for like about the last month and she's gained a lot of progression.
Nice.
And I'm actually really excited to see how she'll do in February. Um, but like for someone new into the sport, I would say don't get overwhelmed with the information because you're going to learn something different from each person. That's something that me and my husband learned early on is like anytime we got up to the table, they're like, oh, you're new, you're fresh. Let's see what we can do with you. And then they're like, oh, focus on top roll. You're really strong there. And then you like try doing a hook the next time. And then they're like, oh, your hook is really strong. Let's focus on that. And it's like, and then you get the people that watch like arm wrestling on YouTube or whatever, and they see presses and they're like, oh, how do you do that? And it's like, I don't feel comfortable teaching that to you right away. That's something that's like for more advanced pullers, in my opinion. Um, and then like I try to tell them like, hey, do you have a resistance band? That's something you can use to like build up your pronation. Or like this gal Kayla that I'm trying to get her to get, she doesn't like the gym scene, but I was like, hey, Taylor goes to the gym every day, go to the gym with him, and he can kind of show you what like some stuff you can do to build up your strength. And because I'm like, that's something that's helped me massively with getting as far as I have come is being consistent with gym lifts and taking the time off when you need to take a break or when you have your arms when your tendons are like, please don't touch us. You're like, okay, I'll give you the break that you need. And I tell them that too. I'm like, if you go really hard on your first practice, you might not hurt the next day, but you will hurt a day or two like later or 2 or 3 days later where you're like driving your car and then turning and you're like, oh, what is that? Where did that come from? Why does that hurt so bad? And it's like, don't let that pain scare you away, because it does go away eventually. And mainly consistency. Consistency is like the biggest thing.
Right. I love it. That's all
Good
really
advice.
small things. I don't disagree with anything you said. I think that's all very,
Yeah,
very
ditto.
true. 100%. So,
Getting
because
all the because
especially
when you
like,
get sorry, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, because when you're getting all that information, that is the part sometimes where you'll feel like, I don't think I'm learning anything and I don't think I'm progressing, because when you go to the table, it's like, So you just got to stick it with it. You really do. It's all going to sink in, and then you're going to find your groove and your motion. It just takes time. Such a technical sport. It's just going to take more time for certain people.
Yeah, that's something that I learned too. And there was a practice that we did. Well, it would have been last year sometime. But these two brothers, Blake and Brock, they tried to get their sister into it. And I got to pull with her a little bit. And she was like, this is really repetitive. I'm like, yeah, it's a repetitive sport. But I mean, I was pretty much fried because I had already pulled a bunch of the guys. So I was just like laying down and laying down because I like had nothing left to give. I was like, I feel really bad because I'm not like 100%, but she
Sure.
was really strong. And I think she should come back into it. Blake and Brock, get her back.
I love it. Well, that's so cool. I really enjoyed hearing your story tonight. I think that this was a great conversation. I think, like I said before, I think you're gonna go really far. You have just the drive, the determination, the background, I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to meet you in April. So
Yes.
that's gonna be so much fun. I'm so glad that you hopped on board and are putting yourself out there in this competition, and I can't wait to see how it goes, and we're gonna have a blast. So
I
Yeah.
know. I
glad
told
you're
my
not in
husband
my
that about
class.
that. I told my husband that too. I'm like, oh my God, I got asked. I don't even know what to say. And he's like, well, say yes, obviously. I'm like, yeah, I
Yep.
know I said yes, but I feel like I didn't know what to say at the time. So I was like, that's a huge opportunity for me. And then also like, where was I gonna go? Oh, how I did the ref. I'm a qualified ref now, or
Nice.
certified ref,
Hey,
whatever. I did Sean's PAL thing online. So I
nice.
technically can be a ref if they need any refs for anything.
That's awesome.
And the guys always get on me at practice now. They're like, well, you're the only certified ref here. I'm like, please stop. So
It's
that's
stressful, man. I
fun.
mean, it's stressful.
Yeah, because you get people that are like, well, his wrist. And I'm like, it looked straight for me. Okay. Just let it go.
Shut up and pull.
You got to be thick-skinned to be a ref for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Because you get people that are like, what the fuck is that call? What is that? Why? Like, I could not imagine if I had to be a ref on like Devin Larratt's match, I'd be like, I'm just gonna let the head ref like do what he needs to do. And I'm just here to tell you if your wrist is straight or not.
You're gonna be sitting there at the bottom doing this for like 5 minutes. Okay.
I think it's straight. Please don't attack me.
Right.
You'll have carpal tunnel. You'll have carpal tunnel by the end of the match, and then you're not you're arm wrestling for a while. So
I
Perfect.
actually have carpal tunnel. I haven't had to
I
deal with
see
it for a
my
really long
hands too.
time. Yeah.
I've had surgery in both.
And then I actually broke my wrist when I was a kid too, my left wrist, which I think is why my left wrist is like stupid strong with
Probably.
stuff.
Yeah, see,
Probably. Well,
definitely the
cool.
Terminator. You need some more pins and bolts in there.
Yeah, so my plate goes the length of my star. And then obviously I got like screws that are like in each thing, and then there's the weird angled ones.
Yeah.
My break was like right here. So because of the location being so close to the elbow, I couldn't do the clam splint that they have as an offer for breaks because I would have had to go in weekly and get it checked and stuff. And I was like, just do the surgery. Just do the surgery. I don't want to have to come in every week.
Well, I just asked the surgeon what will heal faster, and she said doing the surgery. Um, I know somebody who didn't do the surgery, but they were younger, um, heals pretty well, but the bone actually kind of looks a little curved. So I think you just have to weigh your option. I think if you're a younger person and depending on how bad the break is, hey, don't do the surgery. If you're older, you might need it, or vice versa. I did it. I wanted to be back faster. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's a 10-inch plate with 8 screws. Yeah, something like that. And there's like two that are kind of weird. And my break was more right here, like so.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I have the video of my break on my TikTok, and I'm pretty sure it's on my Facebook somewhere.
Well, yeah,
Send it to.
Shauna said it was out there and
It
it's
was a bad break, yeah.
me.
I'm so glad there's no video of mine. So glad.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a real.
Everyone's like every time I talk to people that were there when it happened, they're like, you were so badass. You didn't cry, you didn't scream, you didn't do nothing. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I was in shock. Like
Yeah.
happened, and I was on a riser, so I just stepped back from the riser. Stephen Logston was one of the refs, and then Travis, I don't know his name, but he was the down ref. And he was like, I'm so sorry I came up behind you and like grabbed you. I thought you were gonna faint. I'm like, I don't even remember you coming up behind me. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's like you don't even know it happened. I don't
Right.
know how to explain it. It's like you don't feel it. You hear it, but it's like, it was that me or you? And then you realize,
Yeah.
then it was like, okay. And then it's like, mother bloody, you know what? Yeah, I sat down. I just like cooled air, gave me water, and I just focused on breath. And because I just like, I did not want to pass out and poop my pants. That's what was my fear, you know? So I have Shane Owens on one side, and then I have Sean on the other, and my arm looked like Alien. Remember when the alien's about to pop out? It's just throbbing. I'm like, no, I'm good. Just sit here and breathe. So
Yeah.
that's all
They
I
brought
can
me a
do.
rough I think Drellick brought me a rough shirt and like did like a makeshift sling because my I was able to get my arm back to like the L position, and then I was like, I am not moving from here. And then everyone was like, put ice on it, do this, do that. And I'm like, I just don't want to listen to anybody. I'm just gonna be in my own little world. And my husband was like, what happened? I'm like, I obviously broke my arm.
Did you
And
hear
then
the pop?
yeah, and then when I went back to that, when I actually showed back up to the tournament, they were just finishing like the overalls and stuff. And when people saw me, they're like, why are you here? I'm like, my family is here. I have to be here. My ride home is here. And then even my mom, like I was doing after pulling too, and my husband's like, do you think you should be doing that? I'm like, my right arm is fine. Like it's my left arm that's fucked up.
Right.
They gave me morphine. I got 30 minutes. I got 30 minutes.
Yeah,
It'll wear
even
off.
well, yeah, because we were 3 hours from home. So my mom went up to my husband and she was like, I think you guys should kind of pay attention to pain management and maybe get home before that painkiller wears off. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. We probably should get going. I'm like, no.
Oh, those pain drugs can be the worst.
Real.
Mhm.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
don't break your arm,
All
everybody,
that
please.
knows.
Right.
Nah.
Watch your hand. Stay behind your arm and pull hard still. But But if you
Pull
do,
hard, but pull safe.
right.
Yep.
But if you do, it's okay. Take a note out of both of these ladies' books and come back in bigger, stronger. It's not the end of the world.
Nope.
You can still be a complete awesome arm wrestler, even if you break your arm.
Yep.
So,
And strong.
and
Like, look
Yeah.
at me. I'm benching 185 pounds after an arm break. I
Woo!
didn't think I could ever do that.
Right.
Like I
Freaking
hit one,
amazing.
I hit 135 before I broke my arm. And then so like after my arm break, I was like, I'm never gonna be able to hit that again, like ever. And then when I impulsively signed up for that powerlifting camp, I was like, I have to start benching again.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good night.
You're amazing. Yeah.
So shout out to our chat. Everett, Michael Nance, Alexander Clark. Who's that guy?
We got Ryan.
Very handsome,
Ron was
actually.
on for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Jody, thank you for popping in. So
Mhm.
Shauna, congratulations on Kansas State. She got first. No surprise there.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And then I'll let the other ladies. There's Club Wars that happened today as well too. A couple of super matches between Kim and Maddie and Jenny and Kelly. So make sure you guys head over to Jerry Bell's Facebook. Check out their live stream there. Check out those matches. So congratulations to those ladies and the tournament winners as well. We had a good day at the VAL. No injuries, nothing crazy happened. So
Yep.
it was a good day. It's a good day for arm wrestling and arm
Yep.
wrestling
Absolutely.
discussions.
Yep.
So
Oh.
next week we'll have Maria Peterson from the great country of Canada. So we had mini Canada with Minnesota this week, and
Yeah.
next week we'll have large Canada and with Maria Peterson in the house. So make sure you guys tune in next Saturday at 10. We will be here. And Jolene, thank you so much for
Definitely.
joining us tonight. Really appreciated having you.
Oh, loved every
You're
minute of it.
welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
of course,
You were
anytime,
great.
definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and log out, y'all. Pull smart, pull hard, join arm wrestling, get some ladies on the table, and have